Well, welcome to February. I am using a course of love as our guide through this month. I forgot to bring it with me, but it's a pretty big manual. How many of you have this book in your possession? You. Okay, good. Well, it was written by, and how do I say this again? It looks like Marie, but it's M-A-R-I, Mary. Mari Perrone. She was the first receiver. She received these messages from 1998 through October of 2001. In the preface of it, it says, the dictation Mari scribe specifically refers to this course as a continuation of the coursework provided in A Course of Miracles. How many of you are familiar with Course of Miracles? A little bit more there. It reads, in A Course of Love as well as in A Course of Miracles, Jesus says that love cannot be taught. So, I am not attempting to teach us love today. What I'm rather espousing is that I can share some observations that I and others have had, and to share some of the messages that the master teacher Jesus gave us. And many of the quotes in this Course of Love is through the Master Jesus. So the first premise I want to start with is the first premise that our teaching, Science of Mind, is based on. And that is, this isn't going to be a surprise test. It's going to be a pop quiz, guys. What is the one thing? There is one power and presence. One power and presence, correct? In and through all, creating everything. Actually, it has created. It's done. It's complete. It's perfect. It's whole. We call it love. We call it source. We call it energy. We call it spirit. And this spirit, generated, created, makes everything in the seen realm out of no thing. If you look at the word nothing, put a little hyphen in it. No thing is what created all things. Therefore, everything is created twice. First in that spirit unseen realm, and then coming out into manifestation, into the physical form, into the effect of our physical self. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, actually called it the thing itself. This formless energy, this spirit, is the thing itself. So that certainly removes all notion of gender, doesn't it? You don't call it he, you don't call it she. It is a creative force, a creative power. And many of us are very familiar and very happy and okay with using the word God. And if you have an issue with it, change it to something else. Add another O in there and say, call it good. Whatever works for you. In A Course for Love, it says, knowing yourself, capital S, as who you really are is the only thing that will allow you to quit fearing your power. Jesus accepted his power and so brought the power of heaven to earth. This is what the Christ in you can teach you to do. This is a miracle. Mindedness. This is love. This is miracle-mindedness. This is love. When we recognize what we are, what our true self is, with the capital S. And it's like I kind of mentioned last week as well, we have a challenge because we are both this spirit essence, energy, coming into manifestation, into the physical, which is that human. And so we have that dance between the two, always and eternally. But if you can just go back to the one basic thing, I think it's really simple. I try to keep things simple, it helps. I am love in expression. I am love in expression. James Baldwin said, "Love takes off the masks that we fear we cannot live without and know we cannot live within." We generate these masks to cover up this power that we are, because it frightens us. It's fearful to think, how much power do I have as a spiritual being? Because what ends up happening is that other little ego voice starts coming in there. And it's confusing. We have to go back time and time again to know that I am coming from love. And when I am coming from love, there can be no fear. There can be no apprehension. There can be no worry. How do we come from that knowing, though, all the time? Because there's so many things in life that grab our attention that we say, "Oh, did you know? Did you hear? I was just telling someone this morning. Did you hear this?" And the flurry goes up, and the emotions go up, and we rant and we rave and get into the drama of it, when we can really just step back and look at it as an observation, be aware of it. We don't necessarily have to get sucked into it. I mentioned this last week, and I mentioned it again in my thought for the week, about these energetic centers that we have. And that first one, the base, the root, the home, whatever you want to call it, the gut feeling, is down here in your belly. And then we have our heart center, where we consider that love. We talk about down in the gut, that's your source. That's really the root of what we are. And then we go to our heart, which is that love center. And then if we go to our head, we can know that that is the mind of God. It's all God, but it's nice to consider the fact that this is God, Son, and Holy Ghost. And if you take that bicycle chain of love and let it flow through all of it, it keeps us all in balance. It keeps us all in harmony with really what we are. So I'm trusting that you can play with this week. Play with the idea of keeping in balance with these three energetic sources that we have, that we are, that we're here to express. So what is this love anyway? Is it easy to describe? I have to go back. To me, the easiest way to describe it is 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Love is long-suffering and kind. Love does not envy. Love does not make a vain display of itself and does not boast, does not behave itself unseemingly, seeks not its own, it is not easily provoked, thinks no evil, rejoices not over iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And now abide faith, hope, and love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. In the last paragraph in the prelude of the course of love, it says, "Thus the teachings you need now are to help you separate the ego from your self," big S, to help you learn to hear only one voice. We take a step away from the intellect, the pride of the ego, and approach this final learning through the realm of the heart. This is why, to end confusion, we call this course a course of love. We hear it through our heart, through our gut, not necessarily through the mind of the ego. And I'm not going to attempt to stand here and tell you that the ego is all bad. God, the good, made everything, and he made us with an ego. The ego has its place, has its purpose, or we wouldn't have it. The ego helps us separate ourself from someone else. It gives us personality. It gives us individuality. And that's wonderful. Isn't that great? We are this individualized persona of the one. That's what we're here for. Of course we want to have an ego. It's only when the ego starts telling us that we are less than, that it's telling us we have a little s instead of a big S. That's when it gets us into trouble. So we don't want to get in trouble. How many of you were bad girls and boys in school and really liked getting into trouble? See, I'll tell you, there's a couple honest people here. You were the rebels. You were, or later in life, okay. Don't tell me what to do. I can always remember when I was little thinking, gosh, when I grow up, boy, I'm finally going to be able to do what I want to do. And we still continue to place ourselves in those imposed boundaries, don't we? So we are all individualized expressions of that one power. And we are here, like we just talked about, from the time we were little to the time growing up. What happens? We change, we evolve, we grow, we discover more of this self that is infinite. That's the whole deal. We will again and again and again, if we allow ourselves to, let go of the lesser to reveal and experience the greater. That's what we're here for. And we might make mistakes along the way. We might not do it perfectly every time. Michelle Whittington, when I was at the retreat this last month, she's the minister in the Phoenix church, she said, learn from other people's mistakes. You can't possibly make them all yourself. People make mistakes. Let them. You make mistakes. It's okay. When we were toddlers, growing up, the tiny little things, we first crawled. And then we watched other people and went, what, those guys, they're standing. They're like taking their legs and putting them in front of the other one, and they move a lot faster than what I can do crawling. They see things probably more than what I can see. I think I want to do that. And they start to stand up, and they have to get those muscles in order. Get those muscles strong. And then they forge out, and you know what happens? They're going to fall on their butt. Now, do they tell themselves, oh my gosh, I did that so wrong. That's ridiculous that I can't do this. I'm never going to try that again. Of course they don't. No. They get right back up and say, okay, I'm going to try it again. That's what life is about. We might miss the mark at times. Yeah, that's what a mistake is. That's what a sin is. It's just missing the mark. It's just a course correction to get it back on track. We want to judge with right judgment. We want to judge that I am here as love in expression. And I am doing it the very best I can do at every moment. And we want to go back to knowing that at every moment, and every moment, and every moment is a whole unit within itself. There are things in our past that we want to remember, that we want to bring forward with us, like how to walk, how to drive a car. But there are many things in life, in the moment before, and the moment before that, and the moment before that, that we can just very easily let go of. It served its purpose at the time, and now we are here to experience this moment. There's a great article in this month's Science of Mind magazine. It's on improv. I don't know how many of you have read it yet, but the synonyms for improvisation is inventiveness, creativeness, lateral thinking, and ad-libbing. Isn't that what life is? Who's writing the script of our life? Were we handed it when we were born and say, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. Here, you say these lines. Heck no. We're making it up as we go. And anyway, I wanted to share with you the points of this article, the principles of improv. Okay, think about it as it relates to life. Number 1 is yes and. Saying yes, we accept exactly what is. And places the next step in our hands. It is our responsibility and opportunity to create or shift our direction one step at a time. We accept what is, and what are we going to do with it? Number 2 is listen. The best improvers are the best listeners. They listen to everything. Listening frees us from having to think of what to say ahead of time and allows us to live or stay in the moment. Guidance is always there. How many times do we find ourselves in a conversation with someone? If they're speaking, that means our way to participate with this conversation is to listen. And what are we doing? Our head is talking to us about what I'm going to say next. And when you really look at the people who are doing improv, they are secure in knowing that I'm going to be able to say what needs to be said at the next moment because I'm listening to what the other person is saying. Not only what they're saying, but you're listening with a whole body. Your whole energy is hearing them. Sometimes the words might be coming out of their mouth one way, but their whole body language is saying something else. And so that's a nuance of listening, of being attentive to what's going on in this relationship with this other person. The third one is be present. Everything we need is in the present moment. When we are consciously here, we will not miss out or get lost. I don't know how many times I have, quote, gotten lost driving somewhere thinking that I missed it. I've gone too far. I'm going to turn around. I don't know what it is. I've done this more than once. And I turn around. Of course, I see the same things I've already passed, and I check my information or whatever. I'm like, maybe I didn't go far enough. I can turn around again and go further. Happens to me a lot. So when we are present in the moment, you know what it takes? It takes trusting, doesn't it? It takes getting rid of the fear. Knowing that I'm right where I'm supposed to be, let's just keep going. See what happens. The next one is, what a gift. In improv, we see everything as a gift. A look, an attitude, the unexpected are all things that have unlimited potential for us to create our next step. Don't you get this sense that you just have a lot of confidence when you are approaching life from this standpoint? That it's just a gift. How am I going to play with it? No mistakes. There are no mistakes, only opportunities for growth and moving forward. When we reframe our mindset of failure, we positively reframe our future. No mistakes. Course corrections. Oh my, listen to this next one. Let go of control. If we are controlling an improv scene, we are not improving. And it's no fun. Letting go unleashes creative magic and removes undue pressure and worry. We are free. Our Science of Mind lesson this last week was on freedom, that we are inherently free. That's how we are made. That's what we are hardwired with freedom. That this source, this energy that is all, that's what we are, but that it made us free to choose how we're going to show up in this world. We're not puppets on a string, and we can believe and therefore be and experience anything. And so we want to remember to go back to that truth of what we are, the big S, the big self. And the last one, guess what? Have fun. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. Fun is guaranteed when we listen, are present, not vying for control or worried about making mistakes. Life is good. Yay. So true. This is our life. Our life is one that's an open script. We are here, and the message today is entitled Love Returned to Love. We are love. We are here to return, to give forth that love in every way possible that we can. And we can't do it wrong. We're doing it the very best that we can all the time. So we let go of those judgments. We let go of that fear. We let go of this notion that I'm less than. Whatever the little ego mind wants to tell you, that I'm infinite, as you are, as we all are. And we accept that. Byron Katie, I'm working with a coach right now that's really what our thrust is throughout our monthly calls, is Byron Katie's work. And one of the things that she has said that really I try to remember time and time again is that there's 3 kinds of business. There's my business and your business and God's business. And the only one that I can have anything to do with and any sort of having any notion about having control or effect on is my business. The only one. If I start getting into your business, I'm going down a path that's not a good one. If I start getting into God's business, I'm really on shaky ground. We are here to trust that this God stuff literally is in and around and through us all, and that we don't know it all. To be open, to be supple, to be available. If you're staying after service and listening to the visioning with Michael Beckwith, many times he will say, what we are doing is being available for this infinite spirit to be coming through us. So my business, your business, and God's business sort of reminds me of the Serenity Prayer. Does that make sense? God, give me the serenity to accept those things that I can't change. God, give me the courage to change the things I can. Let me let go of the fear. There are things that I do want to change about my life. And the wisdom to know the difference. That's what we're here for. We are here time and time and time again to return to, of, and as love. Always. Trust yourself. Trust that love. Like the Master Teacher told us, if you are to enter into the kingdom of heaven, you need to become as a child. You need to trust. You need to let go of the fear. You need to take the step, not knowing where it's going to take you. But it doesn't really matter because wherever you are, God is and all is well. And so it is. Namaste.